Good afternoon. In support of our goals and in light of the balance of risks to employment and inflation, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by a 1/4 percentage point. We also decided to conclude the reduction of our aggregate securities holdings as of December 1.
So it's official. Jerome Powell just came out and gave the FOMC speech, and the Federal Reserve cut interest rates again by 25 basis points. And the next meeting that's coming up is going to be in 41 days from right now on December 10th. And the expectations for another rate cut are at 88%. Plus, the Federal Reserve said they will end quantitative tightening. Thus, they will stop shrinking their balance sheet by December 1st, which is absolutely massive. Because as you already know, the Fed's been tightening on their balance sheet ever since 2022. And so we've experienced this bull run thus far while the Fed's been tightening, while rates have remained higher for longer. And the FOMC statement says a lot. So we're going to break it down in this video, what this means for the crypto market. Will the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, be replacing Jerome Powell? This is insane. What David Schwartz just said about XRP escrow, the recent news about Western Union and Solana, is this a death blow for XRP, or does this even matter? With Kevin O'Leary saying that Ethereum and Solana are way too slow. Well, what does he have to say about XRP? We're going to cover the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart, XRP, the US dollar, and expectations for altcoins going into 2026. So that way you can protect your capital and make as much money as possible before this bull run is over. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and as always, if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, you know what to do. Confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So after Jerome Powell gave his speech, we saw the markets react negatively, which is pretty interesting because rate cuts again, stopping on quantitative tightening should theoretically create positive reaction in the markets, but the markets love to move opposite, and most of the stuff gets priced in. So Bitcoin on the 15-minute leading up to the speech right here saw positive momentum, and the real key to understand here is what I'm going to talk about in this video with these divergences, right? I talked about these on these previous calls inside of our accelerator program, inside of Altcoin Pro University. I just got off a call with our clients about an hour ago talking about XRP selling off to the downside. So we're going to discuss all that in this video and why this type of stuff takes place, how to protect yourself, and how to just really ignore the noise in the markets and pay attention to what's going on the charts. Because I've seen so many comments of people say technical analysis is stupid, it's not important, but yet technical analysis reigns supreme the majority of the time when you see the markets react oppositely, as they should react positively to certain news. For example, if we break down what the FOMC statement means, well, we told Grok to interpret this as an expert trader that's been trading commodities and equities for 50 years and crypto for 10 years. What does this mean for the market? So Grok's response was great. Listen up, you wet behind the ears punk. Grok's been slinging contracts in the commodities pit since the 70s, scalping soybeans and crushed spreads when Paul Volcker was jackhammering inflation. Equities traded the 87 crash live on the floor, shorted the tech.com bubble boom. Crypto been hodling and flipping Bitcoin since 2015 through every Mt. Gox rerun and FTX dumpster fire. So with 50 plus years of experience, 10 years in this digital Wild West, now with this FOMC, it's a chef's kiss for dovish market conditions. The markets are fixing to party, but don't get too sloppy here in the short term because there's always volatility around the FOMC speeches. But with the Fed lowering interest rates and quantitative tightening set to end on December 1st, all of these things support a higher ISM and longer business cycle. So this is bullish going into 2026. But why did this FOMC speech scream risk on? Well, 25 basis point rate cut with another straight rate cut and quantitative tightening ending very, very soon. That's $40 billion of monthly liquidity hose turning on. So there's no more dragging reserves. They're reinvesting everything, and banks are going to be swimming in cash after December. So the language shifted here. This is dovish. Employment is softening. Inflation moved up somewhat elevated. And as you already know, if inflation moves up, that's more risk on because people become more bearish on the US dollar losing value due to inflation going up. Grok said, old dogs like me, we love this whipsaw. Buy volatility, spit on sell the news scrubs. So what's happening with Bitcoin right now is a sell the news event. And so this is why we talk about divergences. And with Bitcoin pulling back right now from $116,000, what we want to watch for is the relative strength index to reset down here below 30. So right now, Bitcoin's trend has changed. We broke structure right here with this sell-off and now this lower high. Now we're just experiencing a lower low, another lower high. So Bitcoin is going to remain in this downtrend until we see a divergence start to play out. Now, again, If you guys haven't been watching my previous videos, go check those out. If you're not tapped into Altcoin Pro University, we talk all about this on our weekly calls. But after a downtrend is done and we see this start to play out, what we look for here is lower lows on the price chart and higher lows on the relative strength index. So right now, I would just watch this downtrend for Bitcoin to continue playing out for a period of time until we see a divergence start to play out, because it's still too soon on the hourly chart here for Bitcoin, because we're just forming lower lows on the relative strength index and lower lows on the price chart. What a divergence would be lower lows on the price chart, where the price would do something like this, and the RSI starts to put in higher lows like this for inevitable reversal back to the upside. So this is what I like to watch for, these divergences. And I'll give you an example here. Going back to this downtrend for Bitcoin ever since the 14th of August, Bitcoin was making lower highs and lower lows all the way down to $107,000. So what we would be looking for is the RSI to be bottoming out down here, which it did on the 24th of August. And on the price chart, you can see Bitcoin was at $110,000. And the bottom on the RSI does not mean it's the bottom on the price chart usually, because now this is the start of a bullish divergence. The price recovers, then we form a lower low on the price chart, but yet a higher low on the relative strength index. So then we see another bounce to the upside. The RSI makes a recovery, and then we see another lower low on the price chart, but yet a higher low on the RSI. So this just shows that momentum is slowing from downwards bearish momentum to where eventually we see a reversal to the upside. So we look for a structure shift. We look for a trend reversal. We look for resistance to be broken. So for example here, all the way down here at this low, when price rebounded up here and then came back and double tapped this low and even triple tapped it here, then we started to put in higher lows, and you can see this major resistance level here at roughly $109,000 to $110,000. It's a range. Again, resistance and support aren't exact price levels because you can see we go a little bit below it. You just want as many points of contact here as possible. So you can see this is the zone to watch. So when price cleared this zone here, back tested it once, back tested it twice, and then held on top of it, this was a sign that this downtrend was likely over for Bitcoin, because you can see this bullish divergence was done playing out here, because the relative strength index was starting to put in higher lows here. And then on this reversal, using this resistance as support here, this was the launch pad for Bitcoin to bounce higher to the upside. And then of course the whales love to play their games, bringing it all the way back down to these levels back here and then bouncing off of it again. So right now, Bitcoin's main level to clear for a much bigger trend reversal is right up here at about $116,000. So until Bitcoin clears this level, Bitcoin is just going to range between support and resistance until we see a much larger move for Bitcoin. Now, this move is highly likely now that the Fed is going to be pivoting on their balance sheet December 1st. So what do people like to do? You already know the answer to that. They like to buy or sell rumors depending on what that announcement is. So the announcement is a December 1st pivot on their balance sheet. So what does that leave us? All through November. So I think we're going to have a bullish November. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. But Grok is also bullish here. Quantitative tightening is ending. That's 40 billion monthly of liquidity injection. Crypto ETF inflows are coming. The government shutdown should be ending soon. We'll see how much longer it goes for. And we're just seeing a sell the news event right now. So crypto moves off of narratives. Now the next narrative is the December 1st pivot from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. That's bullish. Now this is crazy. Grant Cardone's brother, Gary Cardone, said he heard from Jerome Powell they are announcing that Brad Garlinghouse is taking over Jerome. Jerome's term ends in 2026. So this is pretty interesting, because why do you think Ripple applied for a federal banking charter? And if Gary Cardone is wrong, he's putting his reputation on the line by saying he heard from Jerome Powell, not some random source here. He's saying he heard from the man himself. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because people's opinion about XRP tells us everything we need to know about your views on the crypto market. And XRP is something people either love or they hate or they know nothing about. People that know nothing about it are part of the 99.99%. The people in crypto that hate XRP, they love coins like Solana, Hyperliquid, BNB, you name it. Whereas the people that love XRP, I've generally seen aren't really negative about the rest of the industry. It's most of the industry is negative about XRP, which is actually kind of funny because it reminds me of how tribalism is in sports. Everyone hates the favorite team. It's like hating the New York Yankees because they just got a stacked roster, right? So I thought this was interesting with XRP's total supply at 100 billion, 35 billion locked away. All market caps use 65 billion multiplied by the last trading price. Yet Bitcoin uses total coins mined to figure out supply. Vincent Van Code saying this is wrong. You have 1 million or more in Satoshi wallets. That is much like the escrow, not to mention the millions lost or put in cold storage for long-term of Bitcoin. So you deduct that and you'll likely see a 15% less Bitcoin market cap. This is the sort of stuff that goes on, and why market cap is a pointless lie. You were programmed to think it's important by the likes of Binance. And then David Schwartz responds saying Ripple could sell the right to receive the tokens released from escrow, or even sell the accounts the escrows complete into, but the XRP still can't circulate until the release dates. So this means that while tokens are locked, Ripple can sell future claims to them. Ripple can enable the pre-selling of XRP that will be released later, allowing the firm to monetize future holdings without breaking escrow. So because Ripple holds 35 billion XRP in escrow, worth $92 billion, these could be used in future treasury plans with companies such as Evernorth. And with Ripple partnering with Evernorth, with other investors including SBI Holdings, Pantera Capital, Kraken, GSR, and RippleWorks, in their institutional lending, liquidity provisions, and DeFi yield opportunities for XRP, their plan is to accelerate XRP adoption here. And a lot of people are freaking out right now because of this announcement from Solana and Western Union saying USDPT and the digital asset network built on Solana, with Western Union leveraging Solana and Anchorage Digital, throwing direct shots out there to Ripple and XRP saying there is no bridge currency, there are stablecoins on Solana. I love you. Well, is this a kill shot for XRP? Well, Brad Garlinghouse posted this saying, with today's close of Hidden Road, about 5 days ago, now Ripple Prime, Ripple has announced 5 major acquisitions in 2 years. G Treasury last week, Rail in August, Standard Custody in 2024, Medico in 2023. He's saying, I'm reminding you, XRP sits at the center of everything that Ripple does. Time to lock in. Now, Western Union is a large global company with a presence of over 200 countries and territories, and as of October, their market capitalization is around $2.67 billion. So they're not a small company, they're very big. And the company has a total assets of almost $8 billion as of June of this year. They operate in more than 200 countries and territories. So I asked Grok to compare this to like the NBA draft, because as you already know, there's so many companies, there's so many banks choosing who they partner with and making these announcements. It reminds me a lot of the tribalism of the NBA. So when you see a star player in college get drafted to a team, a lot of people say it's over for other teams because a certain team grabs onto a player and they market that as a part of their campaigns to get more revenue and exposure to their company, of course. And so if we give an analogy to the NBA draft here, let's just ask Grok, what was that partnership the equivalent to? So with the entire league of 190 trillion plus annual flows, we got wholesale banks, 150 trillion, 99% of value, plus remittances. If Grok is comparing Solana to the Miami Heat, it's like drafting Jimmy Butler in a trade-up steal. Now, Jimmy Butler is an elite playoff star, definitely world-class player. But Grok is saying he's not LeBron James. And Grok is actually comparing Ripple and XRP to the Boston Celtics and saying it's a dynasty reload. Saying Ripple's big 3 depth, the real MVPs, are LeBron, Tatum, with SBI, Santander, PNC, BBVA, 100 plus banks and on-demand liquidity, experiencing massive growth, plus RLUSD stablecoin, Middle East expansion, trillions are primed here. And the honest verdict based on AI here, not my opinion, Grok is saying that Solana drafting Jimmy Butler is fire for the retail playoff run. It's amazing for Solana, huge validation for the project, but it's no deal breaker for XRP. They're saying Celtics and Ripple sweep the finals with wholesale volume gods, remittances equals dope regular season, banks win rings, but it's saying for XRP stackers, your team up 3-0, you sleep like champs. So you guys let me know your thoughts on that. We saw the exact same thing with Swift announcing consensus, Ethereum, but there's one major problem that virtually nobody is focusing on right now. If you have 10K or more in crypto, you're literally giving up an extra $300 per month in passive income. You're giving up on a free 3 to 8% additional monthly yield just because it's sitting on an exchange like Coinbase or Binance and you're being lazy. You're taught to hodl, just wait for price appreciation, and this is costing you thousands of dollars. So let's see what happens here. While your assets are sitting there doing absolutely nothing and inflation is kicking your ass. For example, Ethereum didn't do anything over the course of 3 months. XRP didn't do anything over a whole year. And Solana, same thing. It didn't do anything for an even longer period of time while you sat there making no money. And I'm not saying that these are bad investments. It's quite the opposite, actually. But the smartest investors in the world make their crypto work for them to generate additional yield. And why would you not do that? You're holding these crypto assets anyways. It's like buying a rental property and not renting it out. If you hold on to the property because you believe that it's going to appreciate in value over years, why wouldn't you rent it out so someone else can pay your mortgage while you still get the value appreciation? So it makes no sense to just hold your crypto without earning yield on your idle coins. And if you're just holding your crypto on exchanges like Coinbase, your assets aren't safe. In fact, Coinbase was hacked for $400 million and the hackers bribed Coinbase employees so they could access sensitive user information, demanding a $20 million ransom from Coinbase, which the company refused to pay.
I want to make you aware of a disturbing email that we received recently at Coinbase. It was a ransom note demanding $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for these attackers not releasing some information they claim to have obtained on our customers. I'm going to respond publicly to these attackers by saying no. We are not going to pay your ransom.
And I even received a letter in the mail saying that my information was included in that hack. So I'm speaking from firsthand experience here, not just an article that I read online. So not only are you leaving free money on the table by not earning yield on your idle crypto, but you're also putting yourself at risk of losing it all, getting hacked, or having your account frozen by keeping your crypto on centralized exchanges. Because if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. You already know this, so I don't have to tell you. You can't afford to be lazy with your capital. The US is drowning in nearly $40 trillion in debt, so this is your insurance against the system. To learn how you can earn passive income on your coins every single day while protecting your capital from hacks or scammers, my research team put together a step-by-step tutorial for you to start earning yield on your crypto today, and it takes less than 10 minutes to get set up. All you need to do is go to altcoinpro.com after you're done watching this video, create your account, and click on the Start Here lesson under the classroom, and you'll discover how one liquidity pool is earning our members up to 40% yield on digital assets that they already own. Plus, you can go into the DeFi yield picks and see even more opportunities to earn passive income on your coins safe and predictably with complete control and ownership of your assets. You will make significantly more money by being your own bank. And all you need to do is go to altcoinpro.com to get started right now.
So in the last 9 months, lots has changed. Number one, we had regulation on stablecoins, which is effectively digital payment systems. That's very important. It's now law and legal. Number two, we've been talking about putting Wall Street onto blockchain for 12 years. It's never happened because there's never been a good use case to do it. And nobody wants to rebuild the infrastructure on compliance on Wall Street until now. Now, let me give you an example. If you think about now that digital payment systems are legal, and let's talk about a use case for consumers, your phone. Now, if you could be right beside your favorite coffee shop or pizza joint or burger joint and simply say, large Mac, mac and cheese, fries, that's it. That's all you have to say. Now, why will that work? Because your phone, through AI, knows where you are. It knows where they are. It has a digital payment system on chain, and it sends that $4 order in a nanosecond right to the register there. They know who you are, so when you walk in a minute and a half later, you pick up your burger or your slice or your coffee or your groceries or your dry cleaning or anything you want. The only thing holding us up on this vision, but believe me, there's a lot of people trying to solve for this, is the blockchain itself. Ethereum, everybody knows that name, and Solana is also popular over the last 3 years. They're too slow because you're going to be doing 100 million transactions around the world every minute. And that's going to get very stuck on those chains. And that happened a couple of weekends ago in Ethereum when all of a sudden it was just a mess when they had a big correction in digital markets and the crypto markets. So we've got to build off that, and that's coming soon. But I'm really excited because the Clarity Act, it'll be law probably in the next 90 days, further defining the law towards this vision I'm giving you.
Okay, let's talk in the future more about this. I get it, and I can see how you use the cryptocurrency of any sort, stablecoin or whatever it may be. If you can get a blockchain that processes a bunch of transactions at once, to your point, I can see how you pay for stuff, your everyday interactions. I'll be curious as we move in that direction, Kevin, what the effects are on inflation, the lack thereof, the controlling of inflation. If you've got a finite base of now cryptocurrencies, does that help us tame the inflationary aspects of the Federal Reserve printing more money if you are now dealing in everything in crypto? And I'm not sure that's something you could answer in the 30 seconds we have left, but I think that's fascinating now if we all almost inadvertently move away from the dollar and what effects that has on the inflationary aspects of the dollar.
We're not really moving away from the dollar. We're moving away from the paper currency, and we're moving to the U.S. Treasury bill, shorter duration than 92 days. I think in the next 5 or 6 months, the largest holder of U.S. Treasuries will be stablecoins. And it's still the good old American economy that's backing that up. And everybody trusts. 52 cents of every dollar invested around the world goes to the American economy. I think this is a good outcome. And I believe what I just told you will be rapidly moving forward because it will be law. It's not crypto cowboy land anymore. We have policy.
So with regulation here for the industry, the Genius Act is passed. Now Brian Armstrong saying the market structure bill is next. Everyone wants to know, well, why is XRP pulling back? Well, it's because it's a sell the news event. And plus, if you learn to look at the charts, which we talk about inside of Altcoin Pro, then you guys will better understand this and you wouldn't have been long here, because even on XRP's price chart on the daily, we can see the stochastic RSI is all the way up here experiencing a bearish cross with this pullback from $2.70. And if we zoom in from the daily, we go to the hourly chart here and we bring up our short strategy indicator, which our development team is actually working on right now. It's not available to the general public, but we'll make that available to you guys once it's ready. And if you're inside of Altcoin Pro and you're a customer, then we'll give you access first. But nonetheless, it was showing this bearish divergence playing out here. So for example, if I bring the chart back here, you guys can see that it was basically saying that XRP had a high likelihood of going down more so than it did going up, right at roughly $2.60, like $2.65 right here with this HH5. So what do I mean by this? Well, look at the price chart. You can see XRP's price from $2.50 was experiencing higher highs all the way until H5, higher high 5. Whereas the RSI was experiencing lower highs, showing the momentum was slowing down from bullish momentum to inevitably bearish momentum. And it was actually predicting that price would most likely go to $2.55. So if we watch this and let this play out, you can see that we start to put in lower highs and now we're putting in lower lows with this massive wick to the downside. So it shows the selling pressure is not yet done for XRP, and we're likely to see this downtrend play out now and to continue down a little bit further. So we hit that take profit right there from this indicator, and we're seeing this bearish momentum on the stochastic RSI. We're at 23 and 0 for the K line and the D line. We haven't yet bottomed out here. So it shows that XRP could experience still more selling pressure to the downside, which is what we talked about on our weekly calls back here, with shorts piling up in the markets for, Bitcoin, for XRP, and with this sell the news event, what I would expect for XRP is for the relative strength index to eventually find a low near 30 or below it, and then for the price chart to continue down a little bit in the short term. Now, you have to feel indifferent for that. You can't be overly emotional here. And what I think we're going through right now for XRP is similar to, what we went through this stage right here back in June to, July of 2025. So I still think we're going to be bullish, but this pullback right here is needed to, reset with the stochastic RSI as well. Similar to how when we broke out back here, we saw this pullback, breakout for higher high, pullback, breakout, pullback, breakout. We're just forming higher highs and higher lows. So I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary here with this pullback. I think if we pull back a little bit further, that would be good, because we would come in an intersection with this ascending support here to eventually bounce back to the upside. So I think we're just forming, a higher low here. But if XRP clears below $2.20, then yeah, we'll reevaluate this. But right now, stochastic RSI is overbought. Doesn't mean that we come down right away. As I compared back here, when the stochastic RSI became overbought, we were overbought for a while the price broke out. So I wouldn't just use the stochastic RSI. That's why we look for divergences. So if you want to know when the best buying opportunity would be, again, not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy XRP. Again, I'm not telling you to sell XRP. I'm just showing you what the data shows us, but there could be more selling pressure for XRP to the downside to come back down to, roughly $2.50. It's definitely a possibility, but then I would expect to bounce from there. So watch these charts. The stochastic RSI hasn't bottomed out yet, closer to 0. The relative strength index is at 34, so it's not conclusive that the selling is done yet, which leads me to believe that we're more bearish on XRP right now in the short term. Come back down here and then bounce on out of here to the upside. This is what I would expect now. If you're holding altcoins outside the top 10, if we look at others compared to Bitcoin, the stochastic RSI is at 9 and 4, so we're all the way down here in oversold conditions. At some point, I do feel that others will experience a bounce to the upside, but in order for that to happen, I think Bitcoin needs to break out. Like, we got to see Bitcoin make it a new all-time high, and then others bleed out even more to Bitcoin. I don't think the selling is done yet for others, but when this bounce happens, the people that learn how to position themselves in the right projects, protocols, and different narratives in crypto that are going to experience the biggest liquidity injection after Bitcoin's dominance falls will make the most amount of money. And that's just a fact. People that get aggressively bullish, after the bottom has come in, are the ones that make the most amount of money. It was those that got bullish back here, those that got bullish back here, and then you get bearish. When it's time to be bearish is when we're up here. This is when you want to be bearish on everything outside the top 10. Right now, I'm getting very, very bullish, but I still think there's still more sell off to the downside relative to Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin still outperforms others until Bitcoin breaks its all-time high, and then we see altcoins start to go parabolic after that. Now, our research team will be here to give you guys the best education and the top projects that we spot that are going to experience the majority of liquidity rotation come December 1st when the Fed starts adding to their balance sheet again. For example, Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.